We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung kính Đại Đức Tăng Thịnh, ý thứ Pháp hội cập nhờ thiết chúng sanh, thịnh chuyên diệu Pháp luân giao đạo hạ môn, như há liêu sanh thoát từ ly khổ đắc lạc, tất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sadanto Suchedo Ye Elahudi San Miao San Puto Sie. Nam mô Tát Đắc Tha Tô Ya Đa Ya Allah De Tam Miệu Tam Bồ Đà Tọa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I am able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual doctrines. Wu shang sheng sheng wei miao fa bai jian, 万劫难遭遇，我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Qingliang, Great Master YongHua, all good monks and nuns, and all good advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、清凉大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位善知识、弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa Tăng Lương Đại sư, Thượng Điện Hóa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện sư Thích Ca Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone, today is the 10th of August 2025. We're here at DTT, and thank you for joining our discussion of the Avatamsaka Sutra. We're on chapter 1, on slide 152. Okay, this section here, chapter 1 is about the big wigs, the big shots of the universe. These are the title of the chapter is World Rulers. World is this world, Saha world, our galaxy. Ruler, they rule over this world. What does it mean, ruling over this world? Meaning that the particular here, this section about celestial king called Kumbhanda kings. Kumbhanda are the ghosts that bother you at night, especially when you're sleeping. They tend to sit on you, and you wake up and you're paralyzed. You can't move, and it's very frightening. You cannot do anything. You open your mouth and try to call for help, could not make a sound. And in rare occasions, they would. Some people would forget to breathe. They felt they can't breathe, so they die asphyxiated, meaning because they didn't breathe themselves. Isn't that amazing? If you normally you would find a way to breathe, okay, but the fear is so paralyzing when the Kumbhanda ghost sits on you that sometimes, occasionally, you forget to breathe. And that's why you die. You don't realize everything is frozen. Okay? So this Kumbhanda ghost is kind of terrifying. And most of us, actually many of us, have experienced it already. Yeah, I experienced it at least several times. And so this celestial king, this is meaning they live in the heavens above us. Humankind, mankind are under the jurisdiction of the heavens. We think we're special, we are kings and queens and so forth, and emperors, but actually in the ancient Asian wisdom, they realize, especially the Chinese emperors, they realize that they're under the jurisdiction of the heavens. That's why they call themselves son of the heavens. They would build, like in China, would build this monument to the heavens. And every year they go there and they pray to the heavens. You see, that's ancient wisdom for you. On that, it makes you more humble. You realize that there's powers above you. They're watching over us. You cannot simply do as you please. That's a reminder. Okay, and so in particular, we are human realm right here. Next level of design heaven would be called the heavenly, or the heaven of the four heavenly kings, and they are the ones who are in charge of the ghosts. Okay, so the rule over the ghosts, and that's why they keep things in check in our world. Without them ruling over the ghosts, there will be chaos. Okay, because ghosts are basically in-beings who are troublemakers. They love to cause grief and afflictions for you. Okay, for example, this Kumbhanda ghost is a kind that tend to be drawn to mischievous people. Why is it some of you never experience this? It's because you are a good person. The rest of us who are mischievous, they come and sit on us to remind us that, naughty, naughty boy. Okay? All right. So this section here, it lists out the 10 Kumbhanda ghosts, representative. These are very powerful celestial kings. So this first heaven there is a heaven of four heavenly kings. Among them, they rule over the ghosts. Okay, so for example, when I was in Taiwan, I used to stay at the Vietnamese temple in Taiwan. Okay. And because as a monk, you couldn't have any income, so you stay in the temple and you work at the temple in exchange for room and board. And so this monk here, he's a professor at Shifan, which is a second university, most famous university in Taipei. And the first one is National University, where they train the engineers, very famous. Okay. If you graduate from that university, people will come and invite you back to their company to be an engineer. Where Shifan is literature and education. So this monk here was a professor at that university. Anyone knows how much he was making? I'm very curious about these things. He bragged about it. He says, as a professor, full professor, okay? Guess how much he was making? For you Silicon Valley people, here you'll be laughing at it. $3,000 a month. See, Ray is laughing. Yeah, 3,000. That's hardly enough to pay for the nannies. $3,000 a month. And you know what? Back then, he told me, come, be my disciple. I pay for your PhD studies. He loves PhD students. Okay, he likes his monks to be PhDs. I pay for your PhD. And you know what? Look at my properties. He's worth about how much, you think? This is $25 years ago, for your reference. This is what happens. Old monks are always looking for successors. It's so sad. And like me, I'm old, I'm not looking for success. I can't care less. I'm done. You guys do whatever you want with it. Okay? But this guy, he says, look at my properties. He has a property in the mountain. Okay, he has a property in Taipei. Has property, So he says, look at my property. I'm worth $20 million. And I need a successor. It could be you. Just get a PhD. So of course, me being a very calculating person, I asked myself, how did you as a monk have so much money? Yeah? Doctors make money, engineers make money, I see that. But monks making money? How is it possible? Okay? So he says, let me tell you how. Somehow you could read my mind, I think. And he says, I'm very powerful. The reason I have all this, and he quit his job, by the way, because he says 3,000 is not enough for me. It's a waste of my energy. Okay, it's not enough. So he quit cold turkey. 3,000 a month. Yeah, you're all laughing, but it's a lot of money for Taiwanese. And so he says, people come to me. I have, for example, the reason I quit is because this is this doctor, Taiwanese doctor, disciple of mine, came to me. He says, Master, my mother is very sick. And the doctors are saying that she doesn't have much time left. Okay? And so better say your goodbyes and so forth. And I love my mother dearly. I heard that you could help people like us. Will you help us? And the master says, of course I will help you. Number one, first you become my disciple. Daniel, Catholic Daniel, are you listening? Is he there, Wei Mountain? Anyway, is he there? No, he's not. He's Catholic. I'm trying to get him to become my disciple. I have had no luck so far. Any luck so far. Anyway, so he says, I will help you. Okay? And you need to contribute to Triple Jewel on her behalf so that the Triple Jewel can use your offering, and we print sutra, we do Dharma propagation. And doctor says, of course, if you save my mother, I'd be glad to give you. Here's a check, give me this. And then after this, I'm every month I pay you. How much are you making at Shufan? He says 3,000. Every month I give you $3,000 on top of this. Hello, happy birthday. Oh no, it's a birthday here. They're all here to have a birthday celebration after. Okay, so the master says. So the doctor says, I will also offer you $3,000 every single month until the rest of my life to show you appreciation for saving my mother. So the master said, oh yeah? That's why he saved the mother? And then he quit the job at Shifan. He says, I don't need $3,000 anymore. I don't need to do anything. Every month I get $3,000. Now I get to travel and see the world. Anyway, and then so I was so impressed. I said, how do you do it, Master? How can you save? Because I knew that he has no kung fu whatsoever. My samadhi is higher than him. At the time, could you believe it? I was second dhyana. So I knew. I said, how could you possibly save someone's life at second dhyana? I say, he must have been able to read my mind. Something look at me and say, of course, I tell you. I tell you how. He says, this is what I've been doing for a long, long time. Okay? Ling, did you hear this story? You didn't hear it? None of you have heard this before? Well, this is, you came too late. They told some people in Low Mountain Temple. You remember old monk? No, he doesn't remember. He's sleeping. Let him sleep. Okay, so he says, let me tell you, my boy, I've been high-level Sangha for many, many lifetimes. He's a big shot. Later, he not only have $20 million worth of property there, his uncle in France have a system of temples, okay? And his uncle left him that system, and I could have inherited it. DDT is nothing compared. They have like 200 temples in France, in Vietnam, in India, everywhere. His uncle is very, very famous. Some mistakes you make in your life that you live to regret it. Anyway, he says, many, many lifetimes I've been a very high level Sangha. And how am I supposed to concentrate when there's so much distraction? Okay, so he says, these beings, they know me by reputation. Because lifetime after lifetime, I've been a high level Sangha. Okay? So they really respect the high level Sanghas with a lot of reverence. Okay? So he says, what I do, because I'm recognized by these beings, so every time that I need to heal someone, he said, I will tell you my secret. I have nothing to hide. And you wait until I tell you the secret, then you see why he was willing to tell me. I know a lot of secrets, okay, people's secrets. And so he says, every time I want to heal someone, now T is interested. You say, wow, it's a good way to make money. $3,000 a month, doing nothing. That's one person. Every time I need to heal someone, okay, I cross my legs, full lotus, and I talk to my heavenly king. That's the same heaven, as the same level as the Kumbhanda, celestial king here. He says, I need this person to get well. Okay? And lo and behold, okay, this person gets well. I said, how is it possible? And he says, did you know that the illnesses are created by these ghosts? So these kings here are in charge of these ghosts. All they have to do is, hey, lay off that woman, and she gets well. And he's been doing it time and time again. That's how he built up his fortune. And you have to work for it. All he has to do is call. I just call to say, lay off that woman. Isn't it interesting how the world works? You know, it's inconceivable. Lots of things are happening more than you think. And because of these celestial kings, they're kings, therefore they're powerful. When they said, you have to stay off this woman, they back off. And the woman got well. Now you know why we're learning about these. They really have a lot of power. And actually, as I've been telling you the last 3 years, discussing this chapter 1 here, 3 years, 1 chapter, we're not even nowhere near half of it. Not even half point. 3 years. And Master Shio explained this sutra in 10 years. I have 1 chapter, half a chapter in 3 years. We never catch up with Master Shio. Anyway, so this is why these celestial kings actually are bodhisattvas, mahasattvas. They're very, very powerful. They appear to be a lowly celestial king, but actually they're very, very high, very powerful. Jumi, are you paying attention? She is only paying attention when she wants to ask a question. After that, she's punching away. Hi, honey, I'm coming home in 3 weeks. Behave yourself. Got that? So you see, I want you to understand the world is very fascinating. It's a lot more happening than we are aware of. It's not what you only see and hear and understand. There's a lot more. And this is why this Avatamsaka Sutra tells us about the celestial kings up there, because they have influence over us. Okay? All right. So, so these are the verses that this Kumbhanda king was reading. The teacher of the world achieved the strength of patience and for the sake of being cultivated for measureless aeon, forever removed from the world's arrogance and delusion. His body, therefore, is most adorned and pure. This is the beginning of the verse section. Okay? This is where it's supposed to start. Okay? It says here, teacher of the world achieved the strength of patience. First of all, and you can read this, okay? Okay. He's a teacher of the world, meaning that he's supposed to teach our world, outside world, okay? This entire galaxy. He has to teach all of us, whoever, whether it's animal, whether it's a human being, whether it's a celestial being, he's supposed to teach them all. All right? That's the teacher of the world. Okay? Shu, Dao Shu. Shu here refers to our world. Shu here is our galaxy. Dao is guiding. It's not just a teacher, but also guiding teacher. Okay? So meaning that he's not only teaching, he's also providing guidance. Okay? Because what's the difference between guiding and teaching? Teaching is you give them direct instructions. Guiding is that they don't listen, so therefore you need to corral them. Follow me, follow her. It's like when we circumambulate. Okay, you follow the person ahead of you. Okay, that's guidance, providing guidance. Okay, so the Dharma provides guidance, but the teacher also needs to provide guidance to the world, meaning all beings inside of this higher world. This is what the Buddha does. He is leaving no one behind. He's not selective. He doesn't say that I prefer Koreans, I prefer, men over women, and so forth. No, he makes no discrimination. So that's why he's the teacher of the world. That's the job. If you want to become a Buddha, you too have to teach the world as well. And so he got there by learning how to teach. Okay? And the next concept is the strength of patience. Patience is strength. How do you get patience? How do you build your patience? Because you build your patience, then you're building your strength. As compared to the strength, muscular strength. Okay? You're strong. This is strength. But why? He's talking about patience as strength. Go ahead, 5.
Thank you, Master. To be all patient, we have to endure.
Endure. Very good. People of the world think of strength as muscular strength, physical strength. Okay? However, that's not enough. Because you may be very strong physically, okay? But how many times have women who are weaker than men dominated men? Jumi. At home, who dominates who? Speak the truth. Don't hold back.
겉으로 볼 때는 이제 제가 이긴다고 생각하는데 남편이 이기거든요.
Let me guess. Let me guess. He says, my husband is strong physically, but I'm stronger mentally. No? I need to learn Korean.
그러니까 겉으로 볼 때 제가 더 세 보이는 건 아는데 남편이 사실은 더 강하거든요. 멘탈이라든지 피지컬이라든지.
Doesn't she look happy that I call on her before without her having to raise her hand?
Master, on surface, I might look stronger, but the truth is my husband is stronger physically, mentally.
Is that right? In the temple, you look stronger mentally, but actually he's stronger because he's more patient.
남편이 사회적 가면이 좀 강해요. 소셜 마스크라고 하면 될 것 같아요.
The problem with physical strength versus mental strength is what? You may be strong physically, but you give up. So your physical strength is useless. You can't lift. You can't do anything if you keep on giving up. Right? So that's why as a teacher, you need to have the strength of patience. All right? Any questions? And Master YongHua says, for me as a teacher, because he's a teacher in training, Master YongHua is not a Buddha. He's not One Yin Bodhisattva either. His disciples like to say he's One Yin Bodhisattva. Not true. So Master YongHua says, when you give me a hard time, you help me build my strength. Okay? Don't overdo it. And so for the real strength is patience. Okay? Even when you want to build your physical strength, you still need patience. There's patience to keep on lifting the weight. No matter how heavy it is, you keep on lifting. Right, Daniel? You lift weight, don't you? Un poquito. Okay? And if you quit prematurely, the muscle will not grow. All right? So this is a tip for you. If you have children, with younger people, you want to help them, you need to help build their patience. Okay, and this is a mistake that parents nowadays are so afraid that their children would suffer. Okay, it's no way for you to build your strength in patience unless you must endure. You must endure the suffering. That's the only way. Okay, it's very case in point when you lift weight like XQ2 here in the back. Lift weight. I said. So that's suffering right there. Without this, the muscle will not grow, have a chance to grow. Okay, so suffering. See, so this is why when we train you, we make you suffer. We ask you to suffer. Okay, suffer the discomfort of sitting with your legs crossed, and that helps build your mental strength. Okay. For the sake of beings cultivated for measureless eons. Beings here refers to all living beings. He does not discriminate. He doesn't say, I will only help Koreans. I prefer Vietnam. Okay? No discrimination whatsoever. Or I am only Kiev. No, you as a Buddha, if you want to be a Buddha, you have to be impartial. You have to help everyone, okay, impartially. So that's what it says here. For all beings, it's whether it's a peacock, whether it's a snake, you have to help them all. Okay? And this is why you have to be patient, because it's easier for you to save certain people, okay? But then the other kinds are much tougher, so that's why you have to learn to be more patient. Okay? Cultivated for measureless eons. Okay? So not only do you, in order to build patience, which is necessary for you to help living beings, all beings, it takes a long time. You need to build your patience over a long, long time. Okay, that's what is meant by measureless eons. You do it for so long, you've been doing it for so long, that you don't count, you don't keep track of time anymore. Okay? And Master YongHua says, Buddha considers all beings as his own sons and daughters. Okay? And I said, Some cannot be considered to be your own son and daughters, if you ask me. So he says, I don't discriminate, they're all my children, therefore he cultivated, acquired great spiritual penetrations, okay? Again, see, I want you to pay attention to the order. He cultivated. What does it mean, cultivation? What we're doing is very, very, very traditional style. Cultivating meaning, build your samadhi power. Okay? Acquire great spiritual. When you have samadhi power, that's when you open your wisdom. When you open your wisdom, that's when you, after you open your wisdom, that's when you develop spiritual powers. And this is a problem that what happened to that Vietnamese master. So I stayed with him. I was so impressed. I said, wow, the guy is so rich. And he likes me. That helps. And he's whining and dining me. That helps. I like it. And he would take me everywhere, introduce me, look, this guy here, I got my new recruit and so forth. I said, wow, great. And he would, wherever he goes, he would sleep in one room, and my room is right next to him. So very, very whining and dining and spiritual treatment. And so they went on for a while, and then he says, well, have you made up your mind? Are you going to join me or not? Abandon your Vietnamese master and join me. I said, can I need to have more time? And so he said, okay, I'll give you more time. Okay. And later, guess what happened? He became sick. Half his body is paralyzed. Stroke, mini stroke, yeah? A stroke, not just mini stroke. He had a stroke. And he was like that for years. And then eventually he died. Okay, later he died. I lost track of him. But half the body is paralyzed. So he couldn't speak Dharma anymore. Can you imagine you laugh and only half of your face is laughing and the other is frozen? I'm sure Dr. Lan has seen quite a few of those. Never mind. And so it made me think, when you help those beings, who's going to help you? You have to have the complete picture. Okay? You help those beings. But when your turn to get sick, who's going to help you? Who's going to save you now? There's Anthony right there. Mm-hmm. Who's going to help Anthony? You keep on helping Anthony, who's going to help you? Okay? And so this is what you need to have the big picture. You can't just say, I help, I'm okay. But who's going to help you? Huh? You can't ask yourself to help yourself. Because you're sick already. Have you thought about it? That's the limitation of that model. Can you see that? Because I was so interested. I said, if all I have to do is hey, I'm his disciple. You've been helping my master, and therefore you should help me to heal these people. And I was about to commit, and then I saw him getting sick. I said, wow, if he's sick, I could get sick too down the road. Half my face is frozen as well. Who's going to help me? Liam? Liam will be running. I said, Sayonara, master. Good luck to you. Okay? People always look at the good times. They are not prepared for the bad times. Okay? And so, going back to spiritual penetration. So you have to have the wisdom. The wisdom is when you cultivate, you build your samadhi, your concentration, okay? And then you open your wisdom. That's when you develop spiritual penetration. You don't need to ask for help. Because you keep on asking for help, eventually, who's going to help you? You're helping all these people. Now your turn. You're going to ask yourself to help yourself? That's not possible. See? Jumi, better to cultivate harder and have your spiritual penetration, and you help yourself. Spiritual penetration is not to impress, folks. Spiritual penetration, let me tell you what's for. To heal yourself. The people who use spiritual penetration, like martial artists, there are two kinds of martial artists. The ones who go out and demonstrate to you, I mean, there's so many of them, right? They're fly. You see the Tai Chi people? They run. I saw this on YouTube. What do you mean? I do research. That's why I research. The Wu Tang, right? Wu Tang. You don't know Wu Tang? Võ Đương. That's the Taoist. You don't know? How can you live like this? You don't know anything. You only know is making money, stocks, money, and cryptos. Jeez. Go to look up Wu Tang, W-D-A-N-G, okay? And these are the people who have spiritual penetrations. Tai Chi Chuan, that's Wu Tang. Okay? He saw this master Wu Tang. He run, and then he runs on the wall. Captured on video, folks. I'm not lying to you. Okay? So they have these things. That's spiritual penetration. That's nothing. That's nothing yet. They fly, they float. In Korea, they have these martial artists, they sit in full lotus like this, like him, and then he flow. He levitated. They call levitation. Okay? That's spiritual penetration. You fly. Okay? And so that's one kind where you use it to impress people. Okay? And I used to be so impressed when I met this guy and said, that master, he's a very gao shou, very high level kung fu. He says, yeah, he's very impressive, isn't he? I came and asked him for sparring thing. He said, no. There's some people, they only practice those things to impress. But he says, that friend of mine, he says, when we practice martial arts, we practice to kill. We don't practice to impress. There are two kinds. Okay? One is to impress, show off and get money, get that fame. And the other one is simply kill you. Okay? You become ninja killer. Same thing is spiritual penetration. Spiritual penetration is that, like Master YongHua, his disciple says so. If you think they're impressive, Master YongHua is very, very impressive. He was this guy here. He's just an enlightened disciple of his. He's American. So these Americans, they don't believe anything. Okay? They don't believe anything at all. They are very skeptical. But this guy here is a firm believer in Master YongHua. Every time he sees Master YongHua, he watches him. So Master YongHua was in this hallway like this here, talking to someone. Okay, and he's on the side. This American guy on the side watching him. He's his attendant, and I saw Master YongHua once talking to someone in a hallway like this, and there is a raven, a black crow, that flies back and forth trying to get out. He got in and trying to get out. He's back and forth. And Master YongHua was talking to him, and he's standing there. His disciple, this Caucasian disciple, who's told the story himself. I said, Master YongHua was looking from the corner of his eye, this raven here, because it keeps on flying, and then it started going, swinging back and forth like this. And then eventually the black crow went for them, went straight at them. And Master YongHua, and the thing goes like this. So meaning that he can hit you without touching you. Li was so impressed. Yeah. Isn't that cool? He can hit you without even touching you. And that's, by the way, folks, don't get greedy now. Don't get greedy. The hands and eyes. Number 6, for example. Master YongHua explains this himself. Number 6, that thing there. We cannot say this publicly. This is our secret, right? Okay. Anthony, are you paying attention? Anthony is now lost. He said, oh, Master YongHua today is talking nonsense. No. Master YongHua says, this is your master. He says, this weapon here, okay? When you want to attack people with this weapon you have, okay? When you want to do it, it creates this force field. You hold it, actually, you point at that, and then you don't need to move, and it goes and hit you. It's called the like a laser saber. You know, the saber that has a laser. You have this saber this small from Luke Skywalker, very small. But when you turn it on, and you use it to kill people, same concept. Is the movies are stealing from us. See, the doctor is so impressed. Look at her. Saber, saber. She can't help herself. I want a saber for my birthday. Happy birthday, by the way, honey. Yeah. This is why I'm such a good mood today. I'm telling you, weird stories. You see, so they can hit you, they can hurt you with their mind. They don't need to move muscles. That's spiritual powers. Okay, they don't show off. Okay, anyway. But I'm telling you, Master YongHua is funny. I'm telling you this because Master YongHua, he does not use spiritual penetration to heal himself. He only uses it to help others. Anyway, that's it. Became enlightened, perfected method of ultimately ending birth and death. Okay? And so that's what Buddha did. Buddha, not just Buddha, all Buddhas do that, did that. All his disciples, his bodhisattvas, okay, also do that. Case in point, Master YongHua, a Mahasattva, is doing that. Okay? They are driven by the desire to help all living beings. That's why they're cultivated for measureless aeons. They're not just there to save and help their family, their sons. They're there to help everyone. Okay? And their sons. And their daughters. And Master YongHua says, this is a reminder, this is not a casual talk. He says, if you want to do these big feats, these great deeds, here's what you have to do. Bravely undergo myriad sufferings and hardships for measureless aeons. Now's the time to get out. This boat here, we're going for measureless aeons of sufferings and hardships. Okay? What you've seen is nothing yet. That's why Jumi would never shave her head. He also cultivated various ascetic practices. Okay, that's another way to practice as well. Traditionally, these Chinese and the prior generations, they're into ascetic practices. We are not as strong as they are. I don't think it's very feasible for us anymore, to the point where I don't mean to be derogative or badmouth anyone, but traditionally, the true monks and nuns are supposed to engage in ascetic practices. This is our standards. Master YongHua says, Buddha says, as long as there are people practicing ascetic practices, the Buddha Dharma will remain in the world. So for that reason, a lot of monks and nuns practice ascetic practices. And you see these YouTube videos and how people go to the caves in Nepal, in Burma, okay? And they stay there and practice by themselves. Okay? Just look them up. There's plenty of videos by the young Chinese video makers who would go there and videotape them. Okay, but this is why that by that tradition, a lot of people still practice ascetic practices. We don't do it the same way because it's not simply, when you tell me you cultivate various ascetic practices, it's not enough. For me personally, I'm willing to do it and do the hardship and those things as long as I am improving. This is what I learned. Yes, it sounds glamorous that you are doing ascetic practices and you don't eat afternoon. Anyone? I do eat afternoon. My lunch lasts until 1 p.m. usually every day. Thanks to Liang and company and Nữ and all those people. I finish at 11:50, then they come. They don't come before. They wait until 11:50. When I'm about to get up, and then they come and say, "Hi, Master, I brought you something." I say, "Oh, wonderful." Okay? My point here is that this is when you learn to work around it. You say, okay, we have to give up this not eating afternoon, I have to do something else. And that's cultivation for you. It's not fixed. Forever removed from the world's arrogance and delusion. Okay. What Master YongHua talks about here is very personal for us. You know, in our world, there's a preference for bhikshus over bhikshunis, monks over nuns. And for the life of me, I don't get it. And this is because it dates back to Buddha's time, when with the Buddha, he first ordained monks, and then his aunt, his maternal, his aunt, the one who raised him. When the Buddha was born, his own mother died a week after she gave birth to him and went up to the heavens again. He said, okay, I'm done with you. Goodbye, son. That's his mother for you. So you should be kinder to your mother, you hear? Your mother is still around. You have to be kinder to her. The Buddha's mother abandoned him after 1 week. We're gossiping a lot, aren't we, today? And so, Lady Maya after giving birth to the Buddha, 1 week, he said, I'm out of here. She went up to the heaven and meditated again. I'm so happy here. Human world, no good. Okay, so his sister, who's also married to the king, took over. And so she gave up her own son, who happens to be who? XQ2, you must know. Anyone? Who did she give up in order to take care of the Buddha full time, the crown prince full time? So there's no possible misinterpretation that she's caring for her son more than the Buddha. Okay? Back then, it's very clear cut. I'm going to take care of you, therefore I'm going to abandon my son. So that no one can even claim that I favor my son over you and so forth. No, you are number one, even though you're not my son. I know, it's cruel, right? How could you possibly give up your son? This is why later on when she raised the Buddha, and then Buddha became a Buddha, she came to ask to become a nun. Buddha says, no, you bad woman. I'm not allowed you to become a nun. Now you know. Who did she abandon? Anyone knows? God, am I the only one who knows about Buddhism? Look up ChatGPT. Yes, Daniel. Now he wakes up.
Hello.
Yeah.
Is it Ananda?
There must be an echo here. How did you know?
I wasn't sure if it was Ananda or Devadatta, but you said it was the sister, so Ananda's his cousin, so I kind of just guessed.
Yeah. Good. This guy is sharp. He works at Costco, you know, that's why. The king, his father, the pure-eyed king, okay, he married the sister, Lady Maya. And he says, but just to be safe, I marry your sister as well, so that's no jealousy. That one is a queen, one is not the queen. You are both queens. Okay? So he married the sisters, and then they gave him a son. Okay? And so when the crown prince, meaning Siddhartha, was born, the sister, Prajapati, she gave up her own son, Ananda, to take care of the crown prince. She gave him away. She tossed him away. Okay? Yeah. And that's the story behind it. Okay. Later, after Buddha became a Buddha, then Prajapati says, I have nothing else to do. So she says, I like being with the Buddha. And so she walked. She asked Buddha, and Buddha said, no, you're a woman, bad news for the monks. So I'm not allowing you to be a nun. And so Buddha left, and she walked 500 miles on foot. Remember, these are royalties. They used to go everywhere by what? What? No, elephants. Just kidding. Palanquins, chariots, yes, coaches. That's later, okay? Back then, they only have elephants. Okay, so she walked on foot for 500 miles. And she came to see the Buddha because the Buddha tried to run away. She said, no, I'm going to run after. So Buddha took a break. That's when she could walk. And she finally caught up with him. And she stood in front of the tent and said, Buddha says, no, I don't see woman. So she called Ananda. Okay? And guess what? That Parvati is very smart. She didn't go by herself. She brought what? The Buddha's wife with her. So they both walked by foot for 500 miles. So by the time they got to the Buddha, the feet are all bloody. And they asked to the Buddha. Buddha says, no, I'm not seeing you. I know what you want from me. I'm not seeing you. Okay? Even to his ex-wife. And you soft. Buddha's much tougher than you. And can you do that to your ex-wife? I'm asking the two of you. See, they all look down. So, it's what happened. My students are weak. Buddha said, no problem, I'm not seeing them. My own wife, not her. My mother, my aunt mother, no. Okay, so Ananda intervened. He got down, got in, knelt to got to his knees and said, one, I'm suffering so much, I'm suffering so much. I'm suffering so much. You won't believe how much I'm suffering. And he begged. And the Buddha says, okay, I will allow them to become my Sangha with these 8 conditions. Number 1, the nun will always be respectful to a monk. 100-year-old nun still have to bow to a 1-day-old bhikshu. That's rule number 1. If they violate this, they cannot be a nun. And this is what Master YongHua was talking about. Okay? And so that's why Master YongHua disciples, we all know this. So Master YongHua disciples, they're nuns. Okay? Every time that there are monks who came to the city 10,000 Buddhas to pay a visit, the nuns disappeared. Because the protocol, they all have come out and say, oh, honor one, you just welcome. You have to bow to them. And the Master YongHua disciples, I'm not going to bow to a monk. And that's a rule here. Because the Buddha is very clear. If you refuse to bow to a monk, you refuse to be respectful to a monk, you don't deserve to be a nun. That's why the nuns, they all disappeared. They said, sorry, I have to go work in the kitchen. Got that? This is one of the toughest things for the nuns, by the way. Most of the nuns violate this. Okay? And they say, incomprehensible. That's what the monks say. The nuns are also saying the same thing. They say, why do I have to bow to him? I'm smarter than he is. Okay? Yeah. And why that teaching? Because the Buddha says, you women are very smart, very talented, therefore you have a problem. Inherently, you arrogant. You think yourselves better than men. Okay? Because of that arrogance, you will have a hard time developing wisdom. That's what Buddha says. If you want to develop wisdom as a nun, my special program for nuns to help you develop wisdom quickly, there's a catch. You cannot be arrogant. It's teaching for both of them, not just nuns, but also monks as well. People think that, oh, he's picking on nuns. It's not true. The Buddha basically is saying, if you want wisdom, you don't want to be arrogant. Okay? And so Buddha knows that. He says, I got there because I got rid of my arrogance, and with my arrogance, I'm also was able to get rid of my delusion. And that's how you open your wisdom. And because he's free from arrogance and delusion, his body is most adorned and pure. You see the correlations, okay? Usually, when you have both wisdom and are adorned, that's wisdom. If you see people nowadays, they're good looking, if it's truly good looking without plastic surgery, okay, then they could be good looking, adorned, okay, but they still are arrogant. So if you want to be both adorned and pure, this is when you are free from arrogance and delusions. Questions and comments? Yes, sir, 6.
Is one way to fight your arrogance to look at your faults?
It's a start. If you want to get rid of your arrogance, you need to look at your faults. If you keep on looking at others' faults, it's very difficult to not be arrogant. Think about it. Especially those ones who are always complaining, criticizing about others, those people are very arrogant. And I've lived with such people for 10, 11, 20 years. I never said anything until yesterday. And after 20 years, I said, enough is enough. Never mind. So, ordinary people, they always look at people's faults because they train to look outside. You're rewarded by looking outside. Okay? And that's how you get a raise, you get a promotion, because you are able to see better, have good observation skills. So it's recognized. However, when you look inside, no one knows. That's why it doesn't pay. Okay? So if you learn to look inside, that's when you're able to get rid of your flaws. You look at outside, you look at others' flaws. Yes, they're flaws, but it doesn't help with your own flaws. Whereas in cultivation, you stop looking at others' faults, stop criticizing them. Okay, you simply look at your own faults. And when you look at your own faults, it's very difficult for you to think you're better than others. Okay? So that's the first step. And after that, if you learn to keep on looking at your own flaws, you eventually will be able to get rid of your arrogance, but you go further than that. Because your flaws are not necessarily arrogance. It's a very good question. This guy keeps on asking better and better questions. That's weird. Okay? Why is that? That even if you keep on, if you become not arrogant, it's still not enough. Why not? To be not arrogant is it wisdom? Its beginning wisdom is not full wisdom. Why is it called beginning of wisdom? Yes, 5.
Thank you, Master. I think it's beginning wisdom is because you're beginning to learn to drop your ego. One step at a time.
You learn to listen. You begin to be able to listen. Before that, you simply said, I don't like you. The difficulty of teaching people who are arrogant is that they simply get offended. They said, how dare you talk to me like this? Huh? You poorer than me. You less educated than me. You shorter than me. You uglier than me. There's so many reasons for them to reject you. Okay? Because they don't see. They cannot see. So that's a problem with the ego. But once you get rid of the ego, you still cannot see. But you're more open-minded. How's that? Here's what happened. Before you still have an ego. As soon as your ego is offended, it takes a walk. It's not going to stick around. So he'll never have a chance to learn. He rejects you. Whereas if you have no ego, then you say, I don't like this, but I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait. That's the difference. Okay? There's no chance. Because what happened is that in order for you to open your wisdom, you need to be offended. You need to be repulsed. If you're repulsed, you don't reject. That's when you have wisdom. You're repulsed and you reject. Your wisdom would take a long, long time. Some people might take 20 years to open the wisdom because they keep on rejecting it. I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like you. People who learn not to reject, they open the wisdom just like that. That's the difference. They're so sure of themselves. That's why the reason you lack wisdom is because you're so sure of yourself. You're sure that you know. You see, he says, scientists say so, numbers say so, facts say so. Worse yet, what's the worst? Buddha says so. Let me explain to you. When the Buddha taught Agama, he says, if you agree, follow. You don't agree, get out. Sound familiar? That's Agama. That's Hinayana. If it makes sense to you, proceed. Does it make sense to you? Get the hell out. Right? That's Agama. When you go to Avatamsaka, he says, if you agree, good. You disagree, good. Continue. Why? Because there's so many things that you don't understand. Just like Buddha, he says, hey boy, here's a candy. Huh? Here's a candy. Come. So a smart aleck says, hey, Buddha is breaking precept. Buddha is breaking precept. He's lying. Right? Who's right? Who's wrong? They're both right. But one has wisdom, one doesn't. They're both right. Jumi is right, but Jumi has no wisdom. Case in point. Got that? It's different teaching. There's a lot of things that you think you understand Buddhism, you think you understand it at face value. Let me tell you, it's not what you think. If you're so sure yourself, there's no chance for you. That's why you have to go to know self first. Then you'll be trained on how to let go of that. Questions? Did you hear? 显受. What you know is basically based on your intellect. It's not the whole teaching. There's so many things you cannot possibly understand. So don't be so proud, don't be so sure of your knowledge. Be more humble. Lots of things we're not teaching you yet. Okay? Okay, therefore he is not adorned and pure. Let me go back and finish this because we're running out of time. So basically, he's endowed with, he's adorned here for Buddhism is very precise, but Buddha is adorned because he has 32 hallmarks and 80 subtle characteristics of great men. Great men have these characteristics, all right? That's what they do. They manifest these things to help others, and that's how Buddhas are perceived with his reward body, transformation body, and so forth. Okay? Any questions and comments? Excuse me. No questions, no comments? Okay, and that's we're done with this gatha. We can go to the next gatha. You want to start now, or you want to start later? It's 157. Okay, we start later. I make up your mind for you. Okay, thank you everyone for coming. Let's do a rebirth transference, and then we see you next time. Thank you.